Happy halfway through December vlogmas. It's been a real struggle lately. Just I've been on the struggle bus and this life has not been kind to me recently, but I feel like I'm on the up and up. So, okay, it all started with the weekend before Thanksgiving when I got food poisoning and was really sick for like 3 days. I'm like 99% sure it was food poisoning. I don't know what else it would be. It very much acted like food poisoning, like middle of the night, woke up, stomach cramps, and then spent a bunch of time in the bathroom. Just also that like really horrible sensation of like sweating, but freezing, like the freezing sweat. Really getting into TMI, I'm sorry to just start this vlogmas with such detail. So then, yeah, like I said, 3 days of just like, anyway, that first night I like slept on the bathroom floor. It was horrible, but that cleared up and I was like, okay, it's fine. Like happened before Thanksgiving, thankfully. But then Thanksgiving morning, my dad woke up coughing, fever. He tested positive for COVID. That's the first that COVID has entered our house. Thankfully, we've been very lucky up until now. It got a lot worse for my dad, and we had a really scary night. He ended up in the hospital and was there for a few days, but he's doing much better now, and so we're very grateful and thankful for that. But so he got sick Thanksgiving, and then, you know, Friday, Saturday happened. My nephew woke up that morning with a very high fever, really sick, and then that afternoon the fever hit me and I had a fever. Thankfully, my fever never went super high. Like the highest was like maybe 101 point something, but I pretty much had a nonstop like 100-degree fever from Saturday afternoon until Sunday night. Yeah, just like a nonstop fever, chills, and that was pretty much it. And a body ache. Like I felt horrible, like shivering body ache, chills, like that kind of thing. And at first, because my nephew and I didn't have like any cough or congestion, we were like, maybe it's not COVID, even though it's like happening right as my dad is having COVID. We're like, maybe it's the flu. Like, I don't know, just because ours presented differently than my dad's initially. So my fever finally broke on Sunday night, and I like was finally able to sleep, because when I had the fever, I didn't sleep that entire like 24, 30-hour period. Like I couldn't sleep. I didn't take any naps. I didn't sleep at night. It was horrible. But I slept that night, and then I woke up on Monday, cough, congestion, you know, all of the rest of the COVID symptoms. And, but honestly, because I didn't have a fever, I was, despite having all those other symptoms, I was like feeling better, you know, because I didn't have that fever. And I was like, the fever was the worst part, body aches, worst part. So day 3, I felt okay. Day 4, I felt worse. Day 5 and 6 felt absolutely horrible, like so weak and fatigued, and just like this general feeling of just like tightness in my chest and feeling horrible. I don't know. I can't even explain like how different that horrible feeling felt. And then on day 6, I started experiencing like some gastrointestinal issues, and then that created now, like weeks later. What day is this officially? This is officially the day I'm recording this, December 13th. It's like 2 weeks later, I like got through the 6-day period of COVID of like the congestion, cough symptoms, but then it like turned into gastrointestinal issues, and for like 5 or 6 days straight, I was so nauseous. I could barely eat. It was like forcing myself to eat because I was so nauseous. Pain in my abdomen, like across my belly button area, and it was just like really, really horrible. And I made a appointment with my PCP. Well, not my PCP, but a PCP from like the same company or whatever. I just did like a same day, whoever I could talk to, I wanted to talk to someone, and it was telehealth. And I kind of wanted like an in-person because She ended up having me do a self-administered test, and my anxiety was like convincing me that I did it wrong and that I gave her the wrong information and that she diagnosed me with like the wrong thing. Because basically what she diagnosed me with is gastritis. You know, she couldn't tell me that it was COVID related. I mean, the coincidence of the timing is so immediate after COVID that I'm like, it had to have been like influenced by COVID in some way. She wanted me to come in to get an H. pylori test. She was like, I don't think you have H. pylori, but we kind of have to test just to make sure, because if it is H. pylori, there's like a very specific, strict regimen that you have to follow to treat H. pylori, because it's a specific like bacteria or whatever. Unsurprising, there was some communication errors between my doctor and me, so I wasn't able to actually do the test for like 2 days. Did the test, no problem. If you've never done an H. pylori test and you're interested, you basically have to fast so that you have a completely empty stomach, and then you go in, there's like this bag that you have to breathe into until the bag is full and it like seals on its own and whatever, and then you have to drink this like liquid that's kind of like drinking a sweet tart. That's how I would describe it. You have to drink that in under 2 minutes and then wait 15 minutes and then do the below bag test part again. And it's the drinking the liquid for me really was not a big deal, but like you're doing it on an empty stomach and you're also not feeling good in general. So for me, like I had a moment where like my stomach started to cramp and I was like, oh man, am I gonna have to go to the bathroom? But I ended up being okay. Anyway, test results, I don't have H. pylori, you know, as suspected. The doctor prescribed Zofran ondansetron, it's an anti-nausea med, and then a medicine to coat the stomach. But the thing is, the pharmacy hasn't been able to fill this prescription. Now, granted, I have ondansetron from previous issues, like when I first got the vaccine, I think the first dose, I was like, this is interesting, because when I got that first dose of the COVID vaccine, like the symptom that presented was like non-stop nausea for like 5 days. And so I'm really curious, because then when I got COVID, like a year and a half later, you know, then I had this like nausea for nonstop 5 days. Nonstop nausea for 5 days. So I'm like, I don't know. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that until right now. So then, where was I? Oh yeah. So during that period of time, my doctor had prescribed me ondansetron. So I had some left over from that. And so I had taken that. I didn't take it initially because it has a couple of side effects that are manageable, but I'm like, I don't want to add more. But I did end up taking it and it helped with the nausea. And then ever since then, my nausea has pretty much dissipated. I still don't really have an appetite, and like eating is still difficult. I definitely still have the stomach pain or like abdominal. It's so weird because like, yeah, sometimes it's like the stomach, that's the area of the stomach that's like higher up. But a lot of the time I just have this pain that's like across my belly button. And I'm like, I don't want any information about that. I'm just like letting it ride out. And I'll follow up with my doctor at my next follow-up appointment if I'm still having it. But anyway, so it's been like 2 weeks now of this gastrointestinal issues. Like I said, the nausea has dissipated quite a bit, thankfully. I am still experiencing pain, still experiencing like general discomfort in my abdomen, and my stamina is still messed up. Like I'm still struggling with being very active at all. One, because like my stomach hurts, and then two, just having this general feeling of still not feeling good. Thankfully, my dizziness has not gotten worse from having COVID. Thankfully. But yeah, I'm basically like not doing literally anything except working from home. Like that's about as much as I can handle. And I'm doing it from bed. Like me sitting up today for the first time in 2 weeks to do anything is a good sign, but it's really been like 2 weeks of not being able to fully sit up and do anything for any amount of time. But I have been able to sit up and work for the last couple of hours. And I'm about to go eat lunch. We'll see how that goes. Lunch seems to be a really tricky time for me. My stomach just really does not like to eat lunch for the last 2 weeks. And then on top of all of this, a couple of days ago, my mom finally tested positive for COVID. So she somehow managed to dodge it while the rest of us were sick. But then as soon as like everyone else started to recover, like 2 weeks later, she tested positive. So I don't know if she picked it up somewhere else or it just took longer to incubate. I don't know. Her experience has been different though. Like she hasn't had much of a fever, especially not like the way that my dad and nephew did. She's not feeling good by any means, but it's just been different. It's so weird. It's such a weird virus and I hate it and I wish it would just go away forever. But it's not. It's here to stay, I guess. I've been really down. I've been really depressed about all of this. It's just been so stressful. Just this whole year has been hard. I really have not felt well. It's been such a low year as far as my physical health. And it just seems like stuff just piles on and piles on and piles on. And I never like clear up, which isn't true. I mean, the corners of my mouth finally cleared up, you know, got my hydration situation figured out. I'm no longer overhydrating and consequently dehydrating myself. But I'm still dealing with my increased dizziness, still not really to drive. Stamina's down, you know, my just general weakness and now all of this gastrointestinal stuff that I'm just a little bit worried about. You know, I experience pain that keeps me up at night and that's never a good sign, but I'm giving it a few weeks and then when I see my PCP for a follow-up, if I'm still having issues, then we'll have to go down that road. So we'll see. I put up my tree like before Thanksgiving, and I'm so glad that I did because once Thanksgiving hit, I did not feel well enough to do anything. I did finally put the tree up in my family room, the living room, and so maybe I'll show some of those decorations a different day, but it's just been kind of awful around here lately. But I think that we're all on the mend, and I think that we're through the worst of it. I'm praying that we're through the worst of it. Thanksgiving was a bummer. This first half of December has been a bummer, but we all made it through. We all made it through. We're all still here, and I'm just so grateful for that. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that you are staying safe and healthy and able to enjoy this time of year. I'm really missing being able to go on morning walks, like out in my neighborhood and seeing people's decorations, but I just have not been able to manage even like a 10-minute walk in my backyard. That seems to be my limit, is 10 minutes right now, so it is what it is. It's been wonderfully cold here in Phoenix, finally. I know that there are some places in the United States and other parts of the world where it's extremely cold, and I'm sorry about that, but here in Phoenix, it's lovely. We did have a few days, like during all of this going on, where it was completely overcast, like nonstop for like 3 days, and there was some rain, but overcast days really affect me. Like it makes my dizziness worse. It makes me just feel really bad. I'm so sensitive to the overcast. But on top of that, it affects my mental health. Like I really need blue skies. It's a good thing I live in Phoenix because I need the sun. I really need the sunshine. So yeah, I guess that's it. Be safe, be well. I hope you find ways to enjoy your life, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.